In 1658 AD, Shah Jahan's son, Aurangzeb, launched a coup, defeating his three brothers, imprisoning his father, Shah Jahan, and abandoning the religious tolerance policies that had been in place since Akbar's complete Islamization. This resulted in chaos throughout the Mughal Empire, which had been in decline. At this time, British and French colonists, having defeated the maritime dominance of Portugal and the Netherlands, began establishing trading bases in places like Surat, Mumbai, and Calcutta in India. By 1761, internal conflicts within the Mughal Empire had become severe, allowing British and French colonists to penetrate deeper into the country, and also creating opportunities for Afghans from the north to invade. In the Third Battle of Panipat, the Mughal Empire's military strength was completely destroyed by Afghanistan, and Delhi was also plundered and devastated. This war deprived India of its only force capable of resisting Western invasion, gradually leading to its transformation into a British colony. Simultaneously, the British defeated France in the 7 Years' War, acquiring all French colonies in India. Following this, through 4 Missouri Wars and 3 Maratha Wars, Britain occupied the entire South and Central India. From then on, the British East India Company began implementing a strategy of political maneuvering, economic bribery, or military coercion against the various states in the north, gradually penetrating into North India. By 1849, the last remaining Punjab province was occupied by the British, with Emperor Mughal becoming a puppet of the British, thus making India a complete British colony. Although the British colonialists had complete popular control over India, direct control of many states remained in the hands of local Indian princes and nobles. The rule of these nobles and princes was absolute, and to expand their territory and collect taxes, the then governor of India, Dan Hoshi, fabricated a doctrine of loss of power. According to this doctrine, after the death of a noble or prince, all territory and income of states without a direct successor had to be handed over to the Indian Copper Company. Later, Dan Hoshi directly used the pretext of poor administration to seize the territories of many Indian princes, as well as the land of many Hindu and Muslim temples. This led to increasing dissatisfaction among Indian nobles and clergy with the British colonialists. Furthermore, during their invasion of India, the British colonialists used high salaries and land taxes to recruit many Indians as British soldiers, but once they gained complete control of India, they abolished these special privileges for Indian soldiers, even forcing them to convert to Christianity. Furthermore, British officers and soldiers frequently discriminated against and humiliated Indian soldiers, forcing them to participate in the war against the Qing dynasty of China. In combat, Indian soldiers were even forced to lead the charge on the front lines. This unfair treatment led to secret plans of resistance, the main trigger being the infamous grease-wrapped bullet incident, also known as the Meerut Incident, in May 1857. The British military supplied Indian soldiers with military supplies, including a new type of bullet wrapped in paper soaked in beef and pork fat. To use it, the paper had to be bitten open to access the bullet. Most Indian soldiers were Muslim and Hindu. Muslims do not eat pork, and cattle are considered sacred in Hinduism. Therefore, this action by the British directly led to the soldiers' rebellion, which subsequently occurred in various military camps throughout India. They proclaimed the last emperor of the Mughal Empire, the puppet ruler Bahadur Shah II, as the new emperor of India, and in his name issued a proclamation calling on all people, regardless of religion, to unite and expel the British colonialists. Quickly, the Indian princes, already dissatisfied with their British leader, rose up like wildfire in a grassland, a rebellion known in history as the Indian National Uprising. However, this uprising was ultimately suppressed by the British. After the war, Bahadur Shah II was exiled by his brother, and the Mughal Empire officially collapsed. Queen Victoria of England ascended the throne as Queen of India, marking the beginning of the British colonial period under direct British rule. Although the British intensified their exploitation of India, they also built many factories, railways, and schools. Western Enlightenment ideas also spread to India, leading to its modernization and the development of capitalism. At this time, the elite of the Indian bourgeoisie began calling for reforms to India's old religion and culture, and gave rise to many patriotic organizations such as the All India Muslim League and later the Indian National Congress. But the British government basically ignored their calls. When World War I broke out in 1914, in order to secure sufficient tax revenue from India to support the war and prevent India from siding with Germany and Turkey, the British government promised major Indian organizations that if they fully supported the British after the war ended, India would be granted autonomy. But when the war ended, the British not only failed to grant India freedom, but also implemented a policy of repression. On April 13, 1919, the second year after the end of World War I, the Amritsar massacre occurred, with British troops massacring Indian civilians. This event quickly escalated India's struggle against Britain. Subsequently, Gandhi, the leader of the Indian National Congress, led the Indian people in a non-violent non-cooperation movement, using peaceful means such as strikes, boycotts of British goods, and anti-tax protests to force Britain to make concessions in exchange for Indian autonomy. Although the results were not significant, this movement did strike a blow to British rule in India to a certain extent. In 1945, with the end of World War II, Britain's national power had greatly diminished. They could no longer maintain colonial rule in India. Faced with the growing national independence movement in India, the British government could only prolong its rule for as long as possible. On February 13, 1946, Indian sailors in Mumbai, unable to tolerate the discrimination and oppression of British officers, went on strike. The British immediately suppressed the Indian sailors, forcing them to retaliate. This event, which expanded in India, became known as the Royal Indian Navy Uprising. The Indian sailors' uprising quickly spread nationwide. The Congress Party and the Muslim League set aside their animosities and joined forces to launch a nationwide workers' strike and armed struggle. Faced with this nationwide resistance, Britain sent a special cabinet delegation to negotiate, primarily to resolve the conflict between the Congress Party and the Muslim League, as well as the transfer of power between the two parties. Finally, on June 3, 1947, London and Delhi simultaneously announced a plan to partition India. This proposal, put forward by Louis Mountbatten, Britain's last Governor-General of India, is also known as the Mountbatten Plan. The plan stipulated the division of all of British India into India, with a Hindu majority, and Pakistan, with a Muslim majority. Based on religious beliefs, the 562 existing vassal states would, through free negotiations, choose to join either Pakistan or the main Indian state. This plan for the partition of India sowed the seeds for the later Indo-Pakistani conflict and the Kashmir regional sovereignty issue. Subsequently, on August 14, 1947, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan was officially established. The same day India also declared independence. On January 26, 1950, the Republic of India was officially established.